So, the Binding of Isaac Repentance Plus beta just got updated recently, and I think this comment perfectly sums up what has been changed. Some good, some bad, and some why? This update is relatively big, so I'll go through all of the main changes in this video. The first of which being a nerf to glitch crown. So everyone knows the pause trick, where you would pause the game on the item before the one you actually wanted, and usually you would receive the right item when you unpause. However, pausing the game now rapidly speeds up the cycling process during and slightly after the pause, making it impossible to guarantee the item you want. I think this is a good change as it kind of adds an element of skill to glitch crown, rather than just a guaranteed win when you pick it up. So if you thought that one was unfair, then you're not going to like the fact that they've removed Glowing Hourglass and Book of Shadows from the Tainted Lost pool. These were two items with insane value, however, it did remove the novelty of playing Tainted Lost. I think stripping back Tainted Lost to the way it was intended to be played is much better for the game, but maybe not for your achievement hunt though. The Wheel of Fortune tarot card now has a 1% chance to spawn a crane game, which is a nice little addition. Punching Bag has now got its blocking shots ability back, making it slightly more useful, especially against enemies that have a high tear rate, like Mega Satan. Now, I'm 100% sure no one asked for this update, but the Amnesia horse pill will now remove all identified pills back to their unidentified states. So, if you forgot which colour pill gave what effect, then you'll have to retake them all to identify them again. A pretty evil addition to the game. Bombs are key pills now work with Tainted Blue Baby, turning poops into keys and vice versa. Also, your poops will remain in the order, so using 2 bombs are keys pills will give you back your original poops. And here's a quick overview of the enemy attack pattern nerfs. Podworms will now appear much quicker than before, meaning you don't have to be stood waiting about before you can deal damage to them. They will, however, still remain as a shell if you keep firing at them constantly. Kinetis used to be able to grab rocks from off the screen, which has now been nerfed to only happen when the Kineti is on screen. Thank God. Blood cultists will now also only fire their blood attack from on-screen. Again, a pretty nice nerf. This change is quite an important one, and adds a bit of calm to the insanity that is the Delirium fight. The Mum's Foot Stomp will now have a 1-second delay after changing from a different boss. There is also an audio cue allowing you enough time to move out of the way of the stomp. Before, you could take somewhat unavoidable damage as the foot could just instantly stomp down after changing from the last boss, so this is a really nice addition. The Siren used to be able to charm Lilith's Incubus, making you helpless. However, this has been changed and the Incubus will stay with Lilith. However, all other familiars that Lilith has will be charmed. On all other characters though, Incubus will still be charmed as normal. Also, Isaac's heart can no longer be charmed by the Siren. Now this is definitely a nice little addition, and it gives a bit more utility for extra golden bombs and keys you may find. Golden bombs and keys can now be traded to instantly pay out their respective beggars. This is cool, however, I'm not sure why they didn't just add this for Golden Heart and Devil Beggars too. Tainted Maggie's Bleeding Hearts will now only charge Sharp Plug half as much as normal hearts. This stops an interaction where Sharp Plug would effectively give Tainted Maggie infinite healing capabilities with the doubling effect of Yum Heart. Angels, if split with the Meat Cleaver, used to spawn 2 key pieces when they were killed. However, this has been nerfed, and now only the original Angel will drop a key piece. No more easy Angel Room rigging. Sad. Right, I've not really seen many people talking about this particular update at all. So, Delirious is now back at a fixed 12 room charge. However, the way the boss's health and attacks work has been overhauled. Now, they will only take 1 damage per hit, and 5 damage from an explosion. Spikes, fires and red poops do not do damage to them either. Their health will slowly deteriorate as they turn more grey before dying. This is a good addition as explosions and red poops used to just destroy the Delirium bosses that spawned before. Now, there is no information on how the boss's attacks work, but you can see from some of the damage they're applying here with Spider Mod. As you can see, it's very strong, and the bosses are not dying as quick as before. As the boss persists through rooms, it's very likely that Delirious will recharge before the last boss you spawned actually dies. Also, bosses that have a second form will actually turn into that second form once the first one is dead. I think this item is much better than its quality 1 label now. Mars got nerfed, no! Obviously the last buff was too much, so they've toned it down a bit. The Mars shield bubble has been replaced with invincibility frames. This means you can still enter curse rooms for free, but it stops you playing devil beggars and blood banks for free. Also, instead of creating a circle of rocks, it's now been changed to fires, which apply a burn effect to an enemy, if they aren't killed. This means you can't use the dashing effect as a bomb anymore. So, no more free tinted rocks, and no more free secret rooms. Jar of Wisps is a 12 room charge, but the first usage of it will now grant 2 wisps instead of 1. Another cool effect that they've added is now each wisp spawned has a really high chance to be a special wisp. I think this is a great addition, as Jar of Wisps is usually overlooked with how long it takes to actually get going, but now it seems a lot more appealing. You do have to watch out for the bomb wisps though, as they can do damage to you. The Star of Bethlehem tier and damage effect is now the same as Hallowed Ground. It was slightly worse beforehand. Horde now synergizes with Black Powder. Pretty cool, as this didn't work before. The Ludovico technique now comes with a 0.2 shot speed increase, which I think was so necessary. It makes it a bit more of a viable pickup now, as you can move the tier around quicker. Also, if you wanted to see some cool Ludovico synergies, then check out these 2 videos I've recently posted on them. Okay, now I think this is definitely a bug, but every Petrify effect will now make an enemy drop coins upon death like they've been Midas touched. There is nothing in the patch notes addressing this, so I assume it's a bug and will get fixed fairly soon. But this makes items like Boomerang and Mum's Contact infinite money machines. This doesn't really make any sense, so let's try and get this nerfed. Using Forget Me Now on the chest will not reset the Mega Satan door anymore, allowing for an additional full clear of the chest, but still being able to get your Mega Satan achievement. Using the clicker to change characters now provides the character's intrinsic passive items. However, these items are lost when you change to a different character again. Even though you receive the character's passive items when you spawn in, it will not show up in the item bar. As you can see, I've gained Whore of Babylon and Deadbird when I've changed into Eve, but the game doesn't show them in my heads-up display. Also, the clicker used to remove the most recent item 100% of the time, but this has now been reduced to 50%, making it a little bit more viable. Daily runs got a decently sized overhaul, and can now include runs to the Alt Path, Home and Delirium. The new daily rotation is listed here, and I know a few people aren't happy about this, but this is the way it's going to be. They've also had a lot of changes to the way the scoring system works, so if you want to see them in more detail, I've linked the patch notes in the description. Common exploit was fixed, where you could use R key and take another active item with you, if you timed it well enough. Okay, so I've not seen anything about this since the patch dropped, but I'm going to assume it actually has been added. A very low chance for bosses to drop a thematic item on death has been added. Now, this is the only information we've been given here, so I can only assume this is a case where Monstro would have a chance to drop Monstro's Tooth or Monstro's Lung after killing it. The wording very low chance suggests it's in the 0.0% range. See, I tried killing floor 1 bosses for around 30 minutes with no luck of an additional drop, so as we play the game and find out what these drops actually are, I'll make a pinned comment with all of the drops in it. So if you've seen any already, then comment below. An on-screen indicator has now been added to show where new enemies are going to spawn in wave-based rooms. This means in greed mode, you now have a visual and audio cue to get out of the way of spawning enemies, negating the unfair damage when an enemy would just spawn on top of you. This also works in challenge rooms too. And I'm pretty sure this was a mod before, and I think this change is definitely for the better. Now, there are a few more changes that I haven't actually mentioned with a clip, but again, if you want to read exactly what Tyrone has said in regards to this update, then the patch notes are in the description. There are also loads and loads of bug fixes that I haven't included in this video, if you want to check those out. Thanks for watching, and comment below what you think about this new patch.